The Las Vegas Raiders are off to a hot start this season as they are 3-3 and are going to Chicago to play the Justin Field-less Chicago Bears in this Week 7 matchup. Justin Field dislocated his thumb in the Week 6 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, and by all accounts, as of right now, it does not look like he's going to be playing at all. There's still a lot of swelling, according to Adam Schefter. I want to say Adam Schiff, but I think he's But anyways, Adam Schefter. That's not that big a difference, if we're being honest, in general. But Justin Fields, that's huge on his throwing shoulder. If he can't grip the ball, there's absolutely no way that he's going to be able to play. So that means Tyson Bagent, the undrafted quarterback from Shepherd College. I forget. It's a cool story. I just like.
Yeah, I think it's Shepherd University. But
yeah. But I thought he looked okay, all things considered. I loved his story as he worked his way up the depth chart to get the second string spot. And so now that he's getting the start, getting a lot of meaningful snaps, it's going to be interesting to see how the Bears react. But I want to start off with the Bears first, just because, I mean, they are just decimated with injuries right now. Khalil Herbert's on IR. Roschon Johnson did not play last week because of a concussion. Looks like Nate Davis is dealing with some injuries as well. And so also on top of that, Travis Homer, their third string running back, is also out. So Deontay Foreman, they got a free agency this season who hadn't dressed, I think, for the past couple of games, was a main starting back who did decent. But in general, though, they have just been devastated with injuries. It seems like they just cannot all be healthy at the same time. And then now you lose Justin Fields as well, who personally, in my opinion, even going back to the Denver game, he had looked significantly better. He started to connect DJ Moore a little bit as well. They started off slow, it seemed, in the first half of that Minnesota game, but I think they could have come on strong as well. DJ Moore only had like 1 or 2 catches, I think, when Justin Fields was playing during that game. But in general, though, this offense had seemed to pick up the pace. You know, they had stalled for some reason against a poor Minnesota defense. But in general, though, I mean, they're just decimated with injuries, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they seem healthy overall. It's just their main issue on defense is that they're not good. So, and that, I mean,
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, yeah, they just suck.
So, and to be fair, they're going up against a Las Vegas Raiders team who actually offensively isn't that horrible. I mean, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, I think is a
on paper they're not horrible.
On paper they're not horrible. But Adams and Myers are a dominant 1-2 matchup. I would honestly put them up against any receiving duo in the league. And then I think you have this Michael Mayer, their second round draft pick tight end. He had his best game this past week with 75. I think it was 75 or 79 receiving yards. So I think a lot of that has to do with how great the receiving duo on the outside is for them. Some of their other rookies as well. Trey Tucker has started to have a couple more good games. Their big thing is Jimmy G going to be able to play? And to be honest, I want to throw it over to you. Jimmy G is obviously better than Brian Hoyer, but if there was ever a starting QB to go out and then you had a backup quarterback come in, I don't think it's that major of a drop off because I think Brian Hoyer is just consistent. I think he's just there is definitely a drop off, but I feel
Jimmy G is in the bottom half of the starters in the NFL, and I would say Brian Hoyer is in the top 10 in terms of a backup in the NFL. And so it's like there's a drop off, but it's not like this offense is just going to completely fall off a cliff. And there still is a chance that Jimmy G plays on Sunday, just because it doesn't sound like he has any major injury to his back. I think he's just dealing with a little bit of pain. So
let's put it this way, at least. I mean, just with the unknown of Tyson Bagent, it is a much bigger drop-off from Justin Fields than Tyson Bagent. That could be a legendary clip if Tyson Bagent turned out to be the next Kurt Warner undrafted rookie, to come in. But in general, though, it's like I would rather go with Brian Hoyer in this matchup than with Tyson Bagent if we're just being
no, I totally agree. One thing, too, that I thought was really interesting, and this is a Tony Romo stat from watching the Raiders-Patriots game last week that I just thought was interesting. The Raiders are a top 10 offense when they're in phase. Basically meaning that they're playing within the sticks. And so the problem is they're one of the worst teams in the league on third down, but they're also one of the highest. They have some of the most penalties in the league as well. So the problem is they're getting to 3rd and 3, and then they're getting a false start, a holding, and it's putting them behind the sticks, and they're just getting behind the sticks, and then they're not in phase anymore, and then they end up punting. And so I think that's why I think we've seen a lot of these Raider games where it's like this offense should be really good, but then it's just as soon as one little thing goes off on their drive, then like they throw in the towel and punt. So that to me, I think explains some of the troubles that I think the Raiders are having. The good news is with that is, to your point, I think going from Jimmy G to Brian Hoyer, if you're looking for a quarterback to keep you in phase, Brian Hoyer's been in and around the league for probably close to 15 years now. Yeah. So if not 15 years. And so like if you need a quarterback that can keep you in phase, Brian Hoyer, I mean, he could be a game manager all you want him to be. Is he going to be able to make the 60-yard bomb throw consistently? No. He made a couple actually against the Patriots, but still.
Who hasn't? Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. So that for me was like there wasn't that big of a drop off, in my opinion, from Jimmy G to Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, well, and that's why you go. I mean, you see a lot of these teams, they go and try and get a backup who as closely resembles the starter as quickly as you possibly can. That's why who was the guy? Tyler Huntley. I think he's still with the Ravens. I believe.
I believe
he's a perfect. If Lamar Jackson goes down, he's the perfect complement. To be like there's.
He's Lamar Jackson light. Like it's what he is. Yeah. So
pretty much. So this is gonna be an interesting game, just because. I mean, if the Raiders win this game, and then let's see if we can pull up their schedule here real quick. But they win this game hypothetically, and I guess that also shows my prediction. I think that the Raiders are going to win this game. I think just in general, I think they're a better team. Bears are giving up a lot of passing yards, and the Raiders are able to actually throw the ball through the air decently well. And I don't think that really matters. I don't think they're going to be losing too much with Brian Hoyer in there, because a lot of it, I think, is Devontae Adams or Jacoby Myers playing off one another, and both those guys getting open, like with separation, easy to get the ball to them, is what I'm trying to say. And the Bears have given up a lot of yards. I think 1,604 yards, 13 total passing touchdowns throughout the season so far through 6 games. So I think the Raiders are going to win this game. And before we get over to your prediction, so let's say hypothetically they win. They play the Lions next week. They go 4-4, but they do then go on an interesting stretch. They play both the New Jersey teams, then Dolphins, and then Chiefs. So I say they're still probably around 500 from there. But Vikings is a winnable game. I think they can contend against the Chargers. Did they play the Chargers already? Yeah, that was the Aiden O'Connell game. So if Jimmy G comes back, maybe that's a little bit different. Then they play the Chiefs again, then end with the Colts and Broncos. So it's a very interesting. If they can pull out a couple extra wins of games maybe they shouldn't expect to win, they could be at 10 wins, and that's right at their wild card spot. So this is a huge win for them, I think, to kind of keep that momentum going.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely, I think that wasn't a good win against the Patriots, but in terms of building momentum, being at 500 after the rocky start that they've had, I think is a win for them. I mean, and I am going to predict them to win this game as well. Justin Fields is not looking like he's going to play. Matt Eberflus said in a press conference today that he highly doubts that Justin Fields will be ready. And this Raider defense, we've seen it at times. They've been pretty stingy in terms of giving up points. They the game I'm specifically referencing is in the against the Packers. I believe they had 3 interceptions and only gave up 17 points. So this Raider defense, I think, is one of the more underrated groups in the league. Max Crosby is a menace, and I think he'll have a pretty good day against this Bears offensive line. So
yeah, I like it. So it should be a fun game. Probably one that'll be a little bit on the lower ending of the radar, but when we look at the end of the season, it could have major impact on the Raiders' chances in the postseason. And the Bears now, I think, losing the Vikings, going 1-5, and Justin Fields not playing. And I think now we're looking at it's like Caleb Williams potentially. Do they go the Marvin Harrison Jr. route and then also get another offensive lineman? So I think that's where my mind is starting to now go as we're third of the way through the season, and you kind of tell who the contenders and pretenders are.
Yeah. We can do a whole video on what we think the Bears will be doing at the end of the year, just because they're probably one of the most interesting teams, cap space and draft pick wise. So
absolutely, yeah, because the Panthers are helping them out a lot.
Yes, they're doing them a lot of favors. So, but let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Is it going to be the Las Vegas Raiders? Is it going to be the Chicago Bears? Let us know what you think. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.